Hello and welcome to my today's video about the DBX 286S you can see here. To be precise, I'm making this video because I got it back from a repair about 2 days ago. And yeah, now I tested it through again and it's working again. But yeah, I'm making this video because the flaw was really annoying and a little bit weird. And I found not that much information online about it. I found, for example, one audio sample in an online community and a few discussion topics, but that's it. So I thought, why not make a video about it? And a very important point is here also, I'm making this video because this device here is just half a year old. It has a manufacturing date of September 2020, and we now have March 2021. So this flaw can also happen with brand new units. And another point, this unit is really new, but I also used it for about 2 months, or 2.5 months to be precise, and it worked flawlessly. So it wasn't a manufacturing fault from scratch on. It got defect over time. And so, first point, I highly recommend always test every 286S unit you get, brand new, used, sealed, not sealed, B-stock, whatever you buy. Always check through your 286S for this fault, because it seems like it can always happen. And because the 286S is now on the market since 2011, so 10 years now, yeah, you can also get very old units with the fault, brand new units without the fault. You need to test through your unit. And before I'm babbling too long, as always, let's start with the audio samples. I have 7 audio samples, and time is always short, so I'm making this only in a screencast. I hope that's okay for you. You can also do something else in between. I will show only a few images, still images. For example, this is the 286S while running the test setup, which I will show you in a few seconds or in a few minutes. This is, for example, how it's looking while the fault is then occurring. And I also have a few images of the smartphone running for testing the DBX 286S, because you only need a smartphone, a frequency generator app, and a microphone to test your 286S. But that's it more or less. But let's first start with the audio samples. Here, for example, is a speech sample. You can, by the way, also always see in the title of the file what happened there. Normal voice recording 1. There's also a second sample with the fathead. With fathead means that I used the Fathead GE, which is the newer version, together with my Sontronic Solo dynamic mic in this test. And first, you will also hear it here. First, I thought that maybe the phantom power is faulty, and because of the faulty phantom power or because of the faulty fathead, I'm getting this issue. And because this happened also very often, this pop suddenly. And so also a hint at this point, always test through all devices. Test, for example, with a mic on another recorder or audio interface. For example, I tested the mic, I tested the fathead, I tested all the cables and changed all the cables. I also changed, for example, the USB interface I use all the time, which is the Moto M2. Quite good interface, by the way. And yeah, after all those tests, I knew that it has to be the 286S. And let's listen before I start to talk again too long. As mentioned, or did I mention it till now? I don't know. In this area is the fault. Then you hear the pop you heard already a few seconds ago. And then here it's running normal again. I will start here, so it's not running that long. Ich probiere mal, ob das... Yeah, and this is really the sound you will get if you have this fault. Okay, das ist jetzt mit den normalen Einstellungen, wo auf einmal scheinbar... You will get very low volumes. You will get a little bit of distortion, which maybe also is coming from the expander gate, because you have really low, really low gain settings or really low volume levels. And then you have sometimes this pop, and then it's running again. Jetzt geht's wieder. Huh? By the way, some of my recordings are in English, some are in German, because I made those not for this video. I made it for the dealer and for the DBX, so I can send them with my RMA claim, so my repair claim, so they know exactly how they can reproduce it, and so they also know that I tested it already quite in detail. And this is, for example, the first audio sample. Let's listen to the second voice sample, because those are the most important. Here, the fault occurs. And this is very funny. For a few seconds it's faulty, then it's running for a few seconds, then it's faulty again, then it's running again, and yeah, here you will hear a beep because I used the F word because I was quite annoyed. And yeah, let's listen to it.
Ist aber komisch, im Prinzip,
Here it's running again, as mentioned.
das letzte Mal habe ich das gelöst,
Here it's not running again.
Indem ich den DBX 86 ein- und aus und wieder eingeschalten habe. Ja, what the f***? Why?
Yeah, and here there wasn't a pop, but the pop really occurs quite often. For example, here, this is done. This is from the smartphone testing with 1 kilohertz. You can hear. And here you also have this popping, for example. So if you have this issue with very low volumes, a pop, and then normal levels again, this is exactly this issue. Silent. Normal. And let's stay first here with a voice and listen again.
Den DBX 86 ein- und aus.
If you have this issue,
Den DBX 86 ein- und aus.
then it's really a faulty input stage. And by the way, I also mentioned it here in German. You can also get rid of this issue if you power the unit off and on again. I have it here with an external power delivery or power splitter with a switch because there is no switch on the 286S. But yes, you can get rid of the issue if you switch the unit off and on again. Then it's maybe working for 5 or 10 minutes if you're lucky, and then you have again the same issue, just so you know it. But let's switch to the testing of your unit because this is really important. You can see now the setup how to test your 286S. To be precise, you just need the smartphone, a mic, and the 286S. And I just raised it a little bit with a sticky tape roll. You can also just put it on the corner and it's also doing the same. I put it very close so I don't need that much gain. And then as you can see here in this image, I'm using it with fathead, therefore I use 48 volt phantom power, although it's a dynamic mic. And I use quite a lot of gain because the volume is quite low. You can level it out even to 0 if you want to. It's just at minus, not really reaching the 0 here in the input stage. Yeah, it's also okay because I still get the minus 12 dB. And the minus 12 dB, you can see, for example, here, it's not exactly minus 12. I have it. I reached it more precise with other tests or test files. But as you can see here, the 1 kilohertz signal is running, and I'm leveling out at around minus 12 in Audacity. Audacity, if you don't know it, is a free tool. You get it for Windows, or for, I think, even for Linux, also for Mac. And just download it, install it, select the right input. For example, I have here in 1.2 from my Mode to M series. It's just one channel, therefore only a mono. And then push the record button so you can see the levels, otherwise you don't see the levels. And then you can start to test. But first, let's get back to the settings. As mentioned, you can dial it in to minus 15 or 0. You can also dial in the compressor a little bit. I dialed it a little bit in higher, so I also get an LED indicator. The rest is more or less not that important. Also, the expander gate is not that important. You just need to switch it on. And as you can see, the compressor has 2 LEDs. The input stage has 2 LEDs, and also the threshold of the expander gate has the gate closed, so it's letting through audio, LED lighting up. The red one is if the gate is open, for example, if you only have noise you want to cut out. And what's happening is if a fault occurs, and by the way, I made these pictures now with a functioning device, I just want to show you how it's looking. It's looking like this. I switched off only the phantom power so I can show you how it's looking. But as soon as the 42 decibels are dropping, here you don't have any LEDs anymore. You don't have anything on the compressor anymore. And you also don't have the gate closed. It's open, so it's not letting through anything anymore. And this is how it's looking like if the fault occurs. As soon as it's working again, it's jumping back to this, for example. And to get back to the fault, it's then looking again like this. So for example, if you are, audio sample wise, in this area, it's looking like this. And if you are, for example, in this area where it's working again, it's looking like this again. And so it's also really easy, for example, while recording, to check also on the device what's happening. Because, for example, if everything stays lit up, it could also be, for example, the USB interface, which has a flaw, or the cable has a flaw, or whatever. But here, because I also tested it with different mics, with different cables, I knew that it has to be the unit also because it changed the LEDs. And if you're testing it with a smartphone, as mentioned, you just need to put it in front of a mic, just put in the 1 kilohertz, and then let it run. Just let it run for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. And if it's working flawlessly in this stage with the minus 12 dBs on the indicator, it's running flawlessly. But if this happens, for example, let's hear it again. If this happens, it could be that you have the same issue I had. And let's also check out, for example, this sample. Here also the 1 kilohertz still ran, just with low volume at minus 24, as you can see here. And I clapped 5 times. First once, then I waited a little bit, and then I clapped 4 times. Here again, it worked again suddenly, maybe because of a spike in gain. And then I clapped again 4 times. So once, then 4 times. Once, then 4 times. Just listen to it. So 4 times here, and here suddenly it opens. Or suddenly it works again, let's say that way. And this is one fact you can also check with volume changes. For example, here it also happened. And this is how it sounds if you have 1 kilohertz running and it's not working. And here in this area, I changed the volume down and then up again, and this also fixed the issue. So let's listen to it. First down, then up. Let's listen again, down and then up. And here we have this pop again. If this also happens, again, also an indicator that your input stage has a fault. And what do I have also here? This is the 4, I have a 3 also. For example, here, I also let it run. Again, here you can also read again. Without fathead, so only the Centronic Solo, because I wanted to test it without the fathead for the higher gain settings, because if it's not working with higher gains, only with higher gains not working, I also need to know it. For example, with clapping, volume comes back, as I showed you before. Here you have, without fathead again, volume comes back, touched nothing. Here I let it run, and I think this is the second part of this file, because I split it up. I just let it run, and suddenly, let's hear. Again, this popping sound, and it suddenly works again. And here I have exactly minus 12 dB set up. Let's listen again. Yeah, I mean, it's really annoying to have this, because this is with a constant sound. Here you see it immediately, but for example, if you're recording your voice, yeah, it comes and goes, especially with this sample. For example, a few seconds it's not working, a few seconds it's working, then a few seconds it's not working, and then it's working again. And it's really annoying and hard to test it out with just voice. So I really highly recommend test it out with your smartphone, with a 1 kilohertz sine tone, and just place it in front of your mic and just wait. And if you let it run for let's say 5 or 10 minutes, you can be quite sure that it's at least not coming with this fault at this time. It can also come, for example, in a few weeks if you're unlucky. But if it's really working at delivery, you're at least a little bit on the safe side. Although I'm saying this while I also mentioned at the beginning that I used it for 2 months without any issues, and then suddenly it started with this behavior. Yeah, you can be also quite unlucky. Let's also listen to this last sample. As you can see in this sample, it's getting more and more silent, and suddenly it drops out again. Then I play around a little bit with the gain settings, and then it completely freaks out. Because of this portion here, I first thought that it's maybe the fathead or the cables, but let's listen to it. Yeah, start a little bit earlier. Let's listen again to this. So this can also happen. So it's not only that, for example, you have a popping sounds, or that you have intermittent audio. like it's the case in this sample here, that for example you have intermittent audio while speaking. It can also be this here, so really weird sounds. Yeah, well, I mean, is the 286S a bad unit? No, it's not a bad unit, especially at this price point. It's nearly unbeatable. I mean, I'm really thinking about exchanging it with the Drawmer MX Pro 60, because yeah, it's rumored kind of that it's of a better quality, and I guess it is of a better quality. I'm just not sure if I want to invest 3 or 4 times as much money-wise for basically the same features. At this point, I just want to say, be aware that the 286S is kind of a professional unit, but on the other hand, also not. I mean, the experience I have now with it, with a 6-month-old unit being defect already, or having to send it in already after just using it 2 months since I bought it, it's not really a that great indicator of long time surviving, in my opinion. So if you really have the money, maybe invest really in better units. As mentioned, the Drawmer MX Pro 60 is maybe the next version up, kind of, or on the next level up. And it's still in a level where it's kind of affordable. I think it's around 500, 550. I know this is still a huge difference to the 150, 160 or so of the 286S. But if you're shooting professionally, and if you have, for example, live sessions where your devices have to work, yeah, because I also plan to use it for such events sometimes, I think that I will switch. So yeah, I hope I babbled not that long, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and subscribe. If I really go for the Drawmer, I will also make a video, maybe even a comparison to the 286S. Who knows if there's time. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.